Hi there. Good morning. It's me, Nicole, on Wednesday morning on May 18th. And I want to start by showing you my cool bed here at Everything Edible. This is a floor bed, and I've been sleeping on it, and it's been so cozy and great. Then my bedding that I bring with me uh, in a hockey bag as one of my worldly possessions that I keep wondering when I'm going to leave it behind, when I'm going to just go bedding free. Mm. But as you'll see, the top of the bed is has got this board on the wall at the head of the bed and these strings that connect it with a dowel like this one that's on the floor at the foot of the bed during the night. And then check it out. Check out what happens. So I pick up this dowel and it starts to roll. And it rolls and it rolls until it hits the wall. And then, dun dun dun, there's another board on the wall with a great big nail. And this is what happens. Ta-da! And now I have all this floor space during the day. So that's my little show and tell starter. And then I'm gonna get my barf bucket for my EHP dojo spaces. If you come to those, you'll know what that's about. If you don't, maybe you're scared to come now. Ask me. I cover it with my sparkly magenta blanket, which is probably never going to be left behind because it's so cozy when I need coziness, and it reminds me of my daughters. Okay, the purpose of my recording this video this morning is that I have been writing down in my notebook crazy morning ideas. This is how Nicole's mornings go. I wake up, I notice I'm awake, I look at my dreams, I get all the gold from my dreams, and then I start to, sometimes I still do this morning experiment that I've been doing where I lower my numbness bar to feel my fear and let my body do this thing I call like jackhammering. And the experience I have is that this jackhammering is actually working away at my lower back and my neck where I've been storing my fear my whole life. And as these kind of orgasmic spasms, this jackhammering happens, these parts of me are becoming unfrozen and my fear is becoming unfrozen. And then it starts to go into my nervous system and I start to feel this tingling. And as far as I can tell from my experimenting, this is recalibrating my nervous system bit by bit by bit, maybe not day by day, but certainly week by week. And part of it is the 333 fear spaces that I'm doing on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, which you can join if you want. They happen right after 333 anger spaces, where I've been for about 2 years now. No, maybe 1.5. I've been waking up my anger, unnumbing my anger, and getting access to my anger consciously so I can use it as a creative force in my life instead of using it unconsciously as a mess-making force. Okay, so one of the things on my idea machine right now has to do with the money part. And as you know, by being following me on Patreon, or even knowing me from life, I've been doing experiments about money for a long time. And a lot of people who have tried to help me, tried to rescue me from what really is financial poverty, though I, in a way, I think that's bullshit to say that I've ever lived in financial poverty. There's definitely been scarcity and not excess, and I've never missed a meal. I've only stayed in a homeless shelter once, and that was by choice. You can read about that on a past Patreon post about my fear pilgrimage beginning. I have only kind of in the evening desperately sought a place to live a handful of times uh, for various reasons. And certainly, yeah, I've never skipped a meal on purpose because I didn't have money. And I even carry around in my pocket a letter that's safeguard about that, that was given to me as a gift by my friend Stevie. And it says, if you ever need a meal and you don't have money for it, just call me up and let me know and I'll transfer money to you right away. Uh, I love my life. I think that I'm the richest poor person I know, the richest financially poor person I know. For example, this beautiful room I'm staying in that's so it's so full of evidence of this messy aliveness where it's not about how things look. It's not about it being perfect. It's about bringing life to this land, everything edible, and just bringing the people what they need, who come to stay here and help catalyze this project. So this is my work right now for the month of May, is to be here at Everything Edible with Melissa and Jorge of Culture Caravan, catalyzing this project, catalyzing Culture Caravan's project, catalyzing Awakening the Village project, as this kind of three cell of projects. So cool. It's just so cool. Okay, so the money part. This has been really going through my system. A lot of old anger and fear and sadness about how it's been for me to be a person who brings non-material value. And material value, I mean, I have my body and I have what I can do and make with my body. I have I have ability to do cleaning and cooking and making things, building things. I can play a part in a play. I can play a part singing a song. I can bring material and non-material value, this mixture. And in a way, in a kind of material way, I also brought 4 children into this world, human beings, and cared for them in their early years, and sourced their food, their shelter, their transportation, their learning spaces. And during these times, and before that even, there was this, I just didn't have the money wizard thing. For one, I didn't have the mm, the value on money. I seem to, from an early time, have this intrinsic awareness of non-material value as what is valuable in life, and money as this thing that most people put in the middle of their lives and do and organize their lives around making money as an unconscious survival strategy and as a conscious survival strategy. I, on the other hand, always kind of seem to have put money on the side of my life, and was hard pressed, even in survival mode, to come up with money. And many of you were on the receiving end of letters and requests, like, can you help me out? During the 5 years that I was holding space for the Awakening House temporary permaculture ashram, there were 2 or 3 times when I didn't know how the rent was going to be paid. And I had a commitment to pay my rent in the month it was due. And thanks to many of you and my bold asking, uh, and other resource access magic that I did, I didn't lose Awakening House for financial reasons. When Awakening House temporary permaculture ashram died, it was because I had come to the edge of the non-material resources that were required to keep it alive and thriving and evolving and expanding. And then there was this period of time where I was accessing those resources and still staying in the building. And I got to the part where it's like, in order to keep going, to become a source of these non-material resources like transformation, clarity, love, possibility, I want to leave. I don't want to revitalize the Awakening House project. And so I went to Portugal and I continued to nomadically go to, and this is interesting, work. Work is so often in modern culture defined as the stuff you do to make the money you need to live. And then to make the money you need to maintain all of uh, the little game world that people create, that including a house and a car and paying for insurance and taxes and like property taxes and gas for the car and food. Of course, food is a given wherever you go, but shelter, transportation, and the bare necessities, the necessities of life in modern culture, the bare necessities, it become this load, this that you have to bear, these necessities. And so when I say I worked in Portugal and Germany, I did not. I was at work, playing, transforming, creating, bringing non-material value through, and essentially trading it for a place to live and to play a part in a game world. And I had brought my own money, and often I also used that to, yeah, I did pay for accommodation sometimes, and I did pay for food sometimes. And I paid to be in spaces where other people who were ahead of me in building capacity and ability to bring through the non-material, the bright principles of transformation, and so that I could be in spaces held by them and just go liquid and go. So money as not the center. And here on Patreon, it's like the way I've been doing my Patreon has put money in the center. It's been like, be my patrons and I'll tell you what's happening in my world of transformation. But this is about me getting money. And when I first set it up, my thought was that this is instead of retiring. This is instead of having a bread and butter job. This is me making my bread and butter work, create an income stream because people want to hear about it and they want to hear about what I'm up to. So this has been kind of like, I've kind of had it right side out and inside out at the same time. So what I'm here about today is about turning it right side out. And Patreon, the platform, is actually going to help me about this, because they're starting to make it possible for me as a creator to give people the gift of being in my Patreon for $0. And then, so this puts the money on the side. It's like, yes, you can come in. There's an option of $0. There's also an option of, what do you want to give? What do you want? And I can more often kind of, so it's kind of like a long-term crowdsourcing. But the distinction that I have is that the crowdfunding can also be about one-off costs. It can be about day-to-day costs and then one-off costs. And this is how my life goes. My day-to-day costs are very low. But what I've been using the patronage money for is when I have a one-off cost. So, I need a ferry ride and it costs $18. Or I need to travel and it's $18 for the ferry and $5, $5, $3, $2 for the buses. And it's like above and beyond my normal costs. And I haven't found someone who can give me a ride and who's willing to, give me a seat in their car while they pay for their share. That would work. In some ways, my mind is going a little racy here because I'm scared. I feel scared about the money part. I feel scared because I have a story that people don't want to rescue me by paying my way. And the distinction is that this is not rescuing. This is empowerment. This is choice. This is me taking responsibility for the costs in my life by asking you straight up, can you give me money? And if you're listening to this and you're a patron already, you've answered yes. And some of you have answered yes, and it can be this much. And some of you have answered yes, and it can be this much. Some people who've been here have said yes, and it can be this much for 1 month. And this was as a way of making the payment easy. I was providing them 4 spaces, 1 a week for 1 month. And this was the agreement that we made. And we agreed that it would go through Patreon. And when the agreement was over, that person decided to leave as a patron rather than lower their amount to a kind of like day-to-day cost, help you out, Nicole level. What I want to make clear is that this is not instead of me taking a responsibility for making my own money. This is how I am taking responsibility for creating income streams so that there's money when I need it. What I want to add to my life is this short-term one-off cost thing again. I had stopped doing that after asking for the short-term rent costs that I wasn't able to cover myself. The last time this happened at Awakening House, I felt so angry about how it went, because every time I asked, I would have people giving me all kinds of unsolicited advice about what I should do about having more money. And this was emotional anger because I had not yet learned to consciously use my anger to say, stop. I didn't ask for your advice. I asked if you are willing to put some money in the pot so that I can pay rent. This is, if you want to have a conversation with me about my money patterns and help me heal these patterns, we can have that conversation. But I don't want I didn't ask for that conversation, and you're providing that conversation instead of the answer to my question, which was about, can you provide some money for me to pay this cost? And I would also feel so angry about the assumptions that people were making. And again, I didn't have my anger to say, wait, it looks to me like you're making an assumption that I'm bad with money or something, or that I'm not working hard to make money, or that that I haven't thought of how about getting a job. This was maybe the most common assumption that people had, was that I didn't want to work. And just to clear that assumption up, I want to work. I want to do the work of my archetypal lineage, the work that the bright principles of love, clarity, possibility, transformation, collaboration do as they work through me. And in my opinion, this is valuable. And in other people's opinion, some people don't want these things. Some people have like a block to themselves, even having them come into their life. If transformation starts doing its magical work on them and they start to feel their feelings and emotions, they call stop. I'm not saying this is bad or wrong. I'm saying that this is just what happens. And as a person who by nature is a catalyst, I run into this sometimes, and what I'm working on doing is shifting things in myself so that I'm more able and have more capacity to say stop. This this is not what I want. I don't want a, a, a mundane modern culture argument about this and that, about opinions. If I'm I'm here for transformational conversations. And if you want to have a transformational conversation with me, let's do it. So this whole experience, what I'm doing right now, articulating this, is transformational for me. As I hear myself say what I'm saying, some of it is brand new, and I'm like, whoa, okay, that brings more clarity. So this is clarity working through me for me. And maybe you're getting clarity from this. If you have a certain amount of awareness and experimenting behind you already around this shift from having money as the center of life, having profit as the center of life, to having money on the side and transformation and evolution and love and possibility and creation being the center of life. Maybe you've got some clarity from listening here today. I'm going to end now because I realize this has been quite a long video so far. And what I would ask is that you give me feedback about what I'm saying. And also, this is a heads up to you that every now and then I'm going to start on Patreon to say, I need a one-off, I need to pay for something. I need to do a one-off crowdfunding. And this will be coming up in the next weeks and months in regard to how am I going to get to the Czech Republic? How am I going to get to the Possibility Alliance? So these are travel costs. And some of it will be accommodation costs that are more than usual. Right now, for example, my accommodation cost is $0 a month because I'm doing an exchange for transformation. I also am going to be making my way through the lower mainland of BC. I'm going to be creating some spaces here in Sooke for the next few weeks, and then I will be creating some spaces on Salt Spring Island and probably Victoria in the beginning of June. And then I'll make my way back to my mom's place in Seychelles on the mainland, and I'll be going through Vancouver. So if you want spaces in any of these places to exist where transformation is happening and you can really get a dose, let me know. Then I want to travel through BC and to Calgary. And my intention is to cross into the United States on the 1st of July. And this is how I want it to go. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but what I want is to hear that some rumors I've heard are confirmed, that June 31st is going to be the open day that things open up and make it possible for an unvaccinated person to cross the border. If this doesn't pan out, then I will also, and before that, I'll be looking for possibilities about how to cross the border without having a second vaccine. And this is partly while I'll be in Calgary, because I want to talk to my doctor and about a medical exemption. And I also want to see if there's anyone I know who has other possibilities for me about this. So if you do, you want to tell me about them, please reach out. And if you want to start sending more money already, please do. I will be just so lit up by the generosity of humans who want transformation to exist, who know I can bring it, and who want to keep me alive while I bring it. Thank you for that. Thank you for being my patrons, for witnessing me through these crazy nonlinear twists and turns that I make, for staying, for sometimes I think even not watching, not reading, and just letting your money go because you you think that's a good idea. And yeah, I just want to end with this wish that I have for you, which is, may you hold strong where you are made to hold strong, and may you give way where you're made to give way. And in your holding strong and in your giving way, may you discover and uncover and delight in the life that you're created to live. Thank you.